like it is. He don't care what you think of it.
I knew what Dale Hansen is. Unfortunately, right? Unfortunately.
I remember Dale Hansen countdown when I first came.
So Jerry Jones and I and a couple other guys.
This has been a great year, Ted. Dale. Lucky
We love Dale. We love Dale.
Dale. He keeps you in touch with sports.
If you're ready, jump right in. Dallas Dialogue with Dale.
Hola, shalom, and hey there, neighbor. Welcome to the latest episode of Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen. I'm your host, Mark Villasana, and joining me as always is my BFF, Marketing Manager for Northwest Insurance, Miss Lila Levy. Hey, Lila, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Mark?
I'm good. And also joining me is WFAA TV legend, and the man is going to be getting it all off his chest once a month, Mr. Dale Hansen. Hey, Dale, how are you doing?
Well, actually, I've had better days. I wake up this morning and my eye infection is back, so I'm playing hurt a little bit here.
Okay, well.
But I figured if Bob Costas could host the Olympics with a ugly pink eye, I can certainly do this podcast. But that and the traffic in the Dallas area trying to get here, it's a horrible day. So I'm hoping we get a little better as we go forward.
Yeah, well, Lila thought you were winking at her when you walked in there. Yeah, traffic's never good here in Dallas. But anything new? What's been going on? It's been a month since we've spoken to you.
It's been good.
Yeah,
it's been good. I think it's important that people start to understand this a little bit. When you first approached me about doing this podcast, I wanted to, as you said, the opportunity to get a lot of things off my chest that have been bubbling for a bit. But I also wanted to be somewhat like the sportscast that I did in Dallas for those 41 years. We will talk like we are today, the Mavericks and basketball, but I will be bashing conservative Republicans. I will be talking about social issues. I've got one coming up here in a couple of months where I'm going to just talk about how this phone is destroying our lives.
Right.
And all the technology that surrounds it. So I want to do all of that as we go forward a little bit. And also, I do want to ask you one question that's been bugging me forever about insurance.
Shoot.
And since you and as your company, Northwest Insurance Agency, is sponsoring this thing, how do you sell a product that nobody hopes, or certainly hopes, that they never, ever have to use? I mean, everything I buy, my television, my food, my car, my clothes, I use every one of them.
Exactly.
You're trying to sell me a product that I hope I never use. Right. Isn't that a hard thing to do?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. First things first. I had a campaign years ago, and the campaign was "Insurance Sucks," because in reality, it's nothing. It's not fun. It's nothing you want to talk about. It's nothing you think you need. And when you come into my office and you purchase it, the best you're going to walk out with is a piece of paper, if you're lucky. Now I can just email you all your documents. You don't even have to have that. But so yeah, it's kind of a difficult sell when you're trying to sell something that it's not tangible. You can't touch, feel, or smell. But what I try to tell people, and this is very effective in the Hispanic market, which I do a lot of my selling to, I try to compare it to gambling, and I think you can relate to this.
Yeah, I could relate to that.
You do a little bit. Yeah. I figured gambling might be up your alley. If you play blackjack and you see that the dealer might have 21 and you have a $10 bet, well, you think, I'm not gonna buy the insurance because I'm only gonna lose $10. But imagine if you had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's what I try to convey to these people. You're gambling, and that's fun. If you're gambling, if you're playing the lottery, that's $1 or $2. But you're talking about your life investment here, and you can protect all that just by paying a premium that's minimal compared to what you paid for your investment. So that's what I try to do. It's not rocket science. It's just trying to convey, hey, man, you're gambling.
Lila, you're with me on this, though, aren't you? Isn't it kind of frustrating to write that check for an insurance policy that you hope you never use?
Yeah, it's super frustrating. It's, because think about it. If you're a really super careful driver and you never get a ticket and you've never been an offender bender and all that money you're putting into the insurance, the premiums each month, it's pretty frustrating because you think of all the things you could do with that money. Yeah. Hey, I could go to a Taylor Swift concert.
Well, speaking of money, young Mr. Cooper Flagg has certainly cashed in with the Dallas Mavericks, and this has been on my mind for the last couple of months since the Mavericks traded Luka Doncic.
You mentioned
so. Let me crawl up, if we're all in agreement
here. That's what we're here for.
Let me crawl up on my soapbox and let's do this.
Let's do it.
We finally have proof for those conspiracy nuts who think the NBA is rigged. And let me be clear about this. We have proof that it's not. Indiana and Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals, the only people in the NBA who wanted that live in Oklahoma City and Indiana. But now that we have a champion, and Indiana coach Rick Carlisle makes another trip to an NBA Final after leaving the Mavericks behind, we can move on to the NBA draft. That's where the latest conspiracy theory started. The Mavericks had less than a 2% chance to get the number one pick in the draft, and 2% is enough, just like milk. And just like milk, the Mavericks draft another white guy. They do seem to do that a lot. In 1985, the Mavericks had 3 picks in the first round, and in a sport dominated by American blacks, they chose 3 foreign white guys. In 1998, they worked a trade with Milwaukee to get Germany's Dirk Nowitzki in the first round. And in 2018, they used the 3rd pick to get Slovenia's Luka Doncic. And this is where our story takes an ugly turn. 6.5 years in Dallas with Luka proving he's one of the absolute best to ever play the game. A trip to the NBA Finals, and then traded to the Lakers. The Mavericks' esteemed general manager, Nico Harrison, has allowed the whispers to spread that he traded Doncic because he can't play defense. Good thing Harrison wasn't here when Dirk was, because Dirk couldn't play defense either. And how did that work out? But Nico Harrison publicly said he traded Luka to the Lakers and didn't talk to another single NBA team. I would have fired him on the spot. Trading Luka is dumb enough. But if you're willing to trade a Luka Doncic and you don't at least shop around for the best possible deal you can get, you're too stupid to cash another check from me. The Cowboys rebuilt a franchise into 3 Super Bowl wins by trading Herschel Walker to Minnesota, and Luka Doncic is better than he was. But in a stroke of unimaginable luck that you probably wouldn't believe if it was a movie, they trade a great player and replace him with a younger one. Duke's Cooper Flagg is only 18. He's about as much of a can't-miss superstar as anyone can be, and he's white. So the Mavericks won't have to answer any DEI questions about him. And in this country now, that's apparently a good thing. Mavericks fans should be able to enjoy the talents of Cooper Flagg for the next 20 years. Unless he's a little iffy on defense, of course. Then Nico Harrison will trade him for a bag of practice balls and a first-round pick 5 years later. Those conspiracy nuts who think the NBA is rigged aren't the dumbest nuts in the game. The Mavericks general manager, Nico Harrison, is. Incidentally, just so we're clear about this, I did reach out to the Mavericks, wanting to get somebody on to provide a counterpoint, maybe.
Right.
They didn't even bother to respond to our conversation and send me a text. I told them in the initial conversation, well, if you don't get me somebody, I at least have to say I tried. But I think after they saw the commentary and what I said about Nico Harrison, I think everybody ran for cover.
I can only imagine that. 2 things jumped out at me when you were saying that. Number one, I wish you would have really told us how you feel about Nico and the trade. Number 2, only Hansen would bring in DEI to a map. I love that. That's what we're here for. I love that.
Too, I was laughing to myself. And I even did this my last few years at WFAA. And I always just that's my best way to describe it. I did just kind of laugh to myself that I can talk about a simple Mavericks basketball situation. Yeah. But let's just work in that little bit of a dig at the political world we're all surviving in today. But I do think, obviously Cooper Flagg, without question, was the choice. Luka Doncic was a great choice. Dirk Nowitzki was a great choice. The 3 draft picks they made in 85, Detlef Schrempf was okay. It became better after he left.
Right.
But those 3 white guys weren't very good. I do think there is, or at least certainly there was, a point in Mavericks history where they did want to have white people leading the team. And it, for the most part, doesn't work in the NBA. It just doesn't.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that was deliberate then? And do you think it's been deliberate over the years? It's just happenstance. The white guys happen to be there if they're pick, or,
Much like in everything, winning will eventually win out.
Okay.
But like, if you remember, Brad Davis was the point guard, and he was a very good player, very good player. But I think the Mavericks were incredibly happy to have someone like him be the face of that franchise in 1980.
Yeah.
I was at a banquet one time with the Mavericks, and And it just happened to be the day that the first black player played for the Boston Celtics, like 1951. The first black player in the NBA played that day.
Okay.
And I said at this banquet, honoring the memory of that man who broke the color barrier to become the first black player in the NBA, we honor him today. While we gather here to honor Brad Davis, the last white guy who will ever play in the NBA. And Mark Aguirre and Rolando Blackman about fell off the table. Their chairs tipped over backward. They were laughing so hard. But I do think, and I know they don't like it when they say it. Even my friends in the Mavericks organization don't like it when I say it. There's nothing absolutely wrong about drafting Cooper Flagg. I think that is an absolute slam dunk.
You have to, yeah.
But I still believe seeping its way through the organization, and at the very least, seeping its way through the history of the organization is, wow, this is really good. We got ourselves
another
white guy.
Another one. I do think it's funny. I wouldn't even have thought of it, but since you mentioned it, Brad Davis never won a championship. He's a great player, cornerstone of the franchise when they first started out. Never won anything. But his banners hung up in the rafters.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of that, but of course.
Just another question as to, really?
Yeah.
The former owner, Don Carter, did say when they talked about building an arena down at Fair Park, which I thought, quite honestly, would have been incredible. And he said, well, our fans don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Our fans don't want to go there. And it kind of blew over. I thought, wow, what an outrageous thing to say.
Right.
But in Texas in the 80s, probably not so much.
Probably not. Yeah.
But I do think, and again, like I said, I've got friends of mine, very good friends of mine, who work in the Mavericks organization, and they just rolled their eyes at me. They said, "Oh no, Nico Harrison, especially." Well, maybe, maybe,
right.
Nico Harrison may look at it differently, but then I do, somewhat tongue in cheek, go, but now we're talking the reverse here.
Right.
He got rid of the white guy.
Right.
Yeah.
A great white guy.
A great one.
Understand. We'll get
I
involved.
want to say something about Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
That when the Mavs got that what was it, 1.8% chance of getting the first the draft pick, that they had to, this a couple months ago, that they actually came out, because I heard it on the ticket, on one of the tickers or one of the hosts saying it, that the Mavericks had to come out and say, hey, we're going to choose Cooper Flagg, and that it was necessary that they actually had that they had to make that statement, because the fans have lost faith because of what Nico did with Luka.
Right.
And then his reaction to it too, which baffled me when he said, well, I knew that Luka was loved. I just didn't know how much. Are you kidding me? In your role, so it's either a lie or it's bad either way. It's either a lie, you saying you didn't know how much, or it's terrible that you were so clueless you didn't know how much.
Well, and again, that without question, he's, and I'll get into some of this as we go along here, but Nico Harrison is tone deaf when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks fans in so many different areas. But the fact that they did have to say it is a little bit strange, and I do think you're right. I think it was probably necessary for them to say it, because a lot of Mavericks fans are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Are you gonna throw this one away?
Yeah. I mean, it was possible. The only thing, when you talk about lies, though, and lie is too strong a term, but I did laugh out loud when Cooper Flagg came to town, and he had a workout with the Mavericks, and they had a little, gym rat time. The Mavericks immediately sent out the word, "This guy's better than we thought he was." This guy is unbelievable.
Right.
His shooting is great.
Yeah.
And I thought,
we're going to try him at point guard. Yeah.
In my 41 years in Dallas television, how many times have I heard that about every single draft pick that every team has made?
Every sport.
The Cowboys take a guy in the first round. 3 months later, he's at his first mini camp practice.
Shante Carver. It's great.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. And now, I'm not saying for a moment that he won't be, but I'm sorry. And maybe this is one of the reasons it was time for me to retire, is that the Mavericks are setting out these good vibes about the drafting of Cooper Flagg. I said, Well, he better be that good because, you used the first pick in the draft on him, and you're trying to prop up the fact that, losing Luka works out great because now we can build around for the future Cooper Flag.
Who knows?
When in fact they just got stupid lucky. They got incredibly stupid lucky, and I'll drive that point home a little bit.
I do want to get into the conspiracy theory about how they got the draft pick and some more mechanics of what Cooper's going to bring to the table and what we're losing in Luka, that kind of stuff. Anthony Davis, and we'll do all that when we come back. But you've been listening to Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back with Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen. Dale, we were talking about when we left how lucky the Mavericks were to end up getting this pick with Cooper Flag. A lot of people think that it was all conspiracy. The NBA rigged it. In your commentary, you said there's no damn way this could be rigged because the NBA Finals were in Oklahoma City, Indiana. Give me your thoughts on that.
No, that is my thought. Conspiracy nuts drive me crazy. With the exception of Jeffrey Epstein, of course. I know there's a huge conspiracy there.
Let's save that for the next episode. That's a whole nother. We can get into
another.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure there's a conspiracy there. But no, I just in part to me, this is what we get when we promote gambling in professional sports.
Right.
When you start promoting gambling, and young people in particular buy into the concept of I'm gonna get rich quick, and I was one of those guys, quite honestly, years and years ago. I was a young guy thinking I knew everything about sports, lost everything almost, managed to crawl out from a very deep hole that I was in. And I think that's what kind of drives the conspiracies. Plus, talk radio and all the rest of it's kind of fun to argue about it.
Right.
But if the NBA, as I said in the commentary, if the NBA is rigged, number one, they're not putting Indiana and Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals. And at the same time, if the draft is rigged, they're not sending Cooper Flag to Dallas. I mean, they would be sending Cooper Flag to the Lakers. They would be sending Cooper Flag to the New York Knicks. There's not a day in hell that somebody sits in the NBA offices and says, we got to help the Mavericks out because they traded Luka Doncic, so let's rig this draft. It goes back to what we kind of talked about before. It's the gambling aspect of it. It's a crapshoot as to how you're going to come out in the draft. I mean, I know, Lila, you're a big New York kind of a person. I mean, don't you totally agree with me that if it was rigged, with the Knicks now being on the cusp of returning to greatness, Cooper Flag would have a Knicks uniform on if this thing was rigged.
Well, I want to ask you about that because when you just said the Lakers or the Knicks, the Lakers, I totally get that. I totally understand you saying that. But can you flesh out a little bit more about the Knicks? Because I don't know if I totally agree with that. Flesh that out for me.
The Knicks, I would say, only because of the market size. The Lakers obviously have the identity because they've had so much success.
Of course.
The Knicks don't have that same panache because they don't have the success to back it up. But we saw it a little bit this year with the Knicks making a run and looking like this might be their year again, led by a guy, Jalen Brunson, incidentally, that the Mavericks let go for nothing.
Right.
For nothing they got. Talking about the management. This is previous.
To be fair, pre-Nico.
Yeah. But, Mark Cuban did a lot of great things with the Mavericks, but Jalen Brunson, they got nothing. Also, Steve Nash, they got nothing in return. And Steve Nash goes on to win 2 MVPs in Phoenix. But anyway, with Jalen Brunson leading the Knicks again, I think the country was incredibly excited. Certainly more excited than losing out to Indiana. And that's what I'm saying. The TV market, the network exposure, and just it's New York City.
Yeah.
Oh,
got
that's
you.
that's what they want.
I wanted to
From
I
a
wanted
team
to hear your
perspective, the Lakers
angle
maybe, yeah,
for that
yeah, but
because
all about
the
people.
angle for LA is very obvious. But
Right.
I get that.
Let me push back a little bit on this conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
just because I did do a little research on this. People are saying, okay, the Lakers have always been the franchise for the NBA. You know, they are what the Cowboys are in the NFL to Montreal Canadiens used to be to the NHL.
Boston Celtics, you could argue that,
right.
yeah.
You could argue the Celtics were,
Yeah.
but the Lakers were at least one of the paramount franchises. They've always had that superstar. They've had Magic, whether it be Kareem, whether it was Shaq or Kobe. People are saying they needed the next superstar. LeBron's on his way out. They're going to bring in Luka.
Yep.
In return, they're going to turn around and give the Mavs the number 1 draft pick. The Cat, like you mentioned, they only had a 1.8% chance, and they somehow ended up with the number 1 pick. Of course, there are a lot of conspiracy theory out there, but it just
Tell me you're buying into this now, are you?
You know,
Really?
my point is, can one thing be true and the other not? Can the conspiracy be there in the draft, but they can still let it play out on the court, and the ergo you get Indiana, Oklahoma City. I'm not saying that's what I believe. I'm saying that's what the conspiracy out there guys are thinking. That's because if it's a nice little fit, you have to admit that.
Oh,
It
yeah.
fit. I mean, it's like it's almost like the JFK conspiracy.
Okay,
All the little.
Hold on, wait. Let me think this through.
Okay.
So the NBA tells the Mavericks, we need a big superstar, and we need him now. So you give us Luka Doncic, and I tell you what we'll do. We'll fix it so that you'll get Cooper Flag. You know, I'm gonna have to redo this commentary. And this is what makes conspiracies work.
Right.
Is that
Yeah.
you can kind of bring two ridiculous points from afar together. You can make them meld.
You connect any dot.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
It is funny, but
Yeah, let's be clear. I'm going to be clear here, Lila, because I don't want to think your boss is a complete idiot. These are not my thoughts. I'm just pushing back a little bit to tell you. These are what people. That's what's out there.
Here's the way I look at this, though. When it's all said and done, and I've been listening to this nonsense for 45 years.
I mean, and people have examples. They go back to the Spurs got back-to-back number 1 draft picks.
Exactly.
So did the Rockets.
But there again, you really San Antonio?
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, when Patrick Ewing bring the Knicks back into the conversation, when Patrick Ewing ended up going to the Knicks, everybody thought, no, that's crazy. The whole thing, though, revolves around the simple fact, and I compare this, as crazy as this might sound. There's a special, I believe the young man's name is Justin Willman, a magician or an illusionist or whatever you call these guys. And it's a fabulous show on Netflix. It's an hour show that just, now again, I know there's all a trick to it in some fashion, but it's just an amazing hour of television to me. But my point is this. Before they did the show, Netflix put up a graphic saying that this show is completely on the up and up. Justin Willman has met none of the audience members who are involved in his bits. Right. Because if you assume that Justin Willman knew the audience members, now it makes sense. Because the audience member would say something and then Justin Willman would turn it into his gag or into his trick.
Figured it all out. Right.
But Netflix was very emphatic that this is on the up and up. My point being, it's the same thing with the NBA. If I find out that Netflix lied about that, I think Netflix would take a massive hit to their credibility as an organization.
Of course, yeah.
If the NBA did something like you're talking about,
similar, you're right.
I think then, at least as far as I'm concerned, and they may not care about me because I am the soon to be 77-year-old guy that they don't necessarily market to. And I do realize that, pro wrestling, as fixed as it is, still has a massive audience out there. But I would absolutely turn off the NBA. That if somebody was able to prove to me that, this really is rigged, this really is a conspiracy, then it becomes nothing more than pro wrestling. And I loved pro wrestling when I was 8. And then I kind of lost interest in it by the time I hit 10.
Yeah.
And I'm saying the same thing. They've got a multi-billion-dollar franchise in place with the NBA. They really want to destroy that credibility that I think is absolutely necessary to their product. along with those stupid DraftKings commercials they run every 5 minutes, that, oh, by the way, please bet your money
Right.
because it's all rigged. I think it would destroy not only the individuals involved in it, but it would destroy the integrity of the league. And I'm still a person, believe it or not, who believes in institutions.
Well,
I believe, well, except for the Jeffrey Epstein case, of course. I believe in everything else. I really do.
Well, it's a whole nother podcast we do, but these days, what is real and what is not real, we could get in that whole thing. And there's so much more we can get in this conspiracy, but you will have to admit, and we'll leave it at this, it all fits in a nice box. The Mavs trade Luka, they end up getting the number 1 draft pick. It happens to be a white guy, like you said, and he just slides right in. But I do want to talk.
I have a question. I want to talk more in depth about Nico. Okay, because ever since all this went down, what was it, in April? It was on
February.
It was February.
Correct.
It was late on a Saturday night, and I remember having the text come across my phone.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I was standing in my kitchen. I was about to go to sleep, and I thought it was as well. But I still don't understand. I mean, I understand what you said, about the defense, or he did, I don't know what to believe. Either way, it's bad. Him saying, I didn't know he was so beloved by the fans. Or I've also heard things that he and Luka, that's probably that at the top of the pile, he and Luka did not get along. But I want to talk about that. I mean, what do you think it is?
I honestly don't know either. I mean, I almost lean closer to what Mark was talking about than any basketball argument.
Yeah.
I mean, Nico Harrison said a couple of weeks ago, I believe this was, that now we're able to see his vision. Now we're able to see his vision. And I'm like, that's your vision? I mean, hell, Ray Charles had better vision than that. Right. You're telling me that your vision was, I'm going to get rid of a 25-year-old superstar, an absolute superstar,
in his prime,
for a 31-year-old Anthony Davis who's constantly hurt, and a first-round pick in 2029. Because I know that I've got less than a 2% chance of getting Cooper Flagg. Well, in that case, he's got the vision of Superman if he sees that nonsense.
He's that magician on
but
Netflix.
I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous that he would come out and say that now you can see my vision. I do think it looks good for the short term. Right now, for the short term, if Anthony Davis, which is a big if, can stay healthy, if Kyrie Irving keeps his head screwed on straight, another big if he comes back healthy, another big if. They could be pretty good for a couple of years.
I was gonna say that.
That's nobody's vision to see all that.
Shot has to be so perfect. Everything has to fall into place. Right. Anthony Davis he's 32 when the trade was made. He's never really finished a full season. It's been a while.
Right.
Kyrie's hurt. Your starting 5 is going to be at least 34 years old, averaging between everybody there. For them to win, they have to. Everything has to fall in place. I mean, it doesn't seem plausible. Yeah,
it just makes no sense. It didn't make sense from when it happened, and then the additional commentary, the additional comments that Nico makes. It's really, really frustrating.
Well, I think it's horrific what he said, especially allowing the and again, it has to be coming from him. Or certainly authorized by him. The slamming that Luka Doncic couldn't play defense. Luka Doncic, drank too much beer in the off season, or Luka Doncic was overweight.
Right.
Find me the number of 25-year-old kids
exactly
who have been told from the time they were like 10 that you're like the greatest thing ever. Give him millions of dollars, excuse basically everything that he does do wrong, and he's going to automatically change his attitude. Dirk Nowitzki said he didn't think about staying in shape till he was 29. Why should Luka go, I'm averaging about 30 points a game. I'm considered to be one of the best to ever play the game, certainly one of the top 2 or 3 players going now by far. I think I need to work out for another hour. Now, do some people do that? Of course they do. But not everybody. And at the same time, his defense is a little iffy, but like I said, Dirk's defense was iffy.
Right.
Dennis Rodman, when he was playing for the Bulls as a rebounder and a defense, he couldn't score.
No offense.
Why didn't they get rid of Dennis Rodman? He couldn't shoot. They had 4 guys who could put points on the board, but they had Michael. How? Of course, people have holes in their games,
Right.
And if Luka's hole in his game is his defense, wow. Really?
Well,
I mean, that's across. How about they said that about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for goodness sakes.
Great point. Luka's 25. People forget Dirk played 20-plus seasons. He won 1 championship.
Exactly.
1 championship. Luka had 15 years to figure it out. Legitimately, 12 to 15 years to figure it out.
And I do think that if weight was an issue or drinking his beer was an issue, he would have changed.
Hell, I used to party hard at 25.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's another story. That's another comment.
My problem is I partied hard at 65, and that's kind of what led to some of the trouble.
I think that's why I'm gravitating.
It's just common sense. I mean, you don't give up on a talent like Luka Doncic because of his youthful indiscretions. I mean, that to me is all I see here. He's not getting arrested. He's not beating up women. He doesn't have a drug problem like Roy Tarpley, who they kept shoveling money toward. No, the guy was a 25-year-old kid making millions of dollars with everybody in the world telling him, "You're unbelievable."
Right.
Gee, he's got a few flaws in there.
Yeah.
Shot.
Heaven forbid.
Shot.
I'll tell you what. Let's let's take a quick break. I do want to get into the reasons Nico said he made this trade: defense, cap flexibility, and also what Cooper Flag's going to bring to the table. So let's take a quick break. And hear a word from our sponsor. You've been listening to Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen, and we'll be right back.
Cars need maintenance, and everyone is always looking for the best price. Whether you're having your oil changed, tires rotated, or simply a good car detailing, the mighty dollar plays a factor in where we go. The same holds true for your car insurance. Just because you've been loyal to a company for a long time does not mean they've been loyal to you with what you pay. At Northwest Insurance Agency, we can check that out for you. And 9 times out of 10, we can get you covered under the sombrero for less than what you're paying now. Give us a call today at 855-887-5656 or visit us at nwagencies.com to get covered under the sombrero today.
Okay, we are back with Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen. Dale, when we left, we were talking about Nico and why he made this move. Some of the reasons he told the media he made this move was because it was a defensive upgrade, and defense wins championships. Another reason gives him cap flexibility. Luka was about to hit that supermax. He was going to sign that, I believe, it was a 5-year, $345 million contract. Those are the main reasons that he gave. Other than that, he really didn't bring much to the table.
Well, I think there's a possibility, and I have heard this in terms not just conspiracy theories, but I'll put it to you this way: I heard the one about they don't want to tie up that money in Luka Doncic because they want to make this move to Las Vegas, and that was the hot rumor for a while that they wanted everything accessible for either them
to be able to bail
or for a new owner to bail this franchise to Vegas. Right. And I called this guy that I know pretty well in the organization, thinking he would just laugh like hell, like I did when I heard that. And he goes, yeah, maybe.
Wow.
And the money might well be a part of it. I don't buy the argument that defense necessarily wins championships, especially when you're telling me that your defensive answer is a guy in Anthony Davis who may or may not be able to play much for you. He also talked about this is better for the long term, where you mentioned it in the last segment. Well, they're all going to get so old so quick, except Cooper. Now, building around Cooper Flag should be somewhat easy, but I still just can't get my head around it because what I mentioned in the commentary about not shopping him around, that is still my biggest argument.
Yeah, you mentioned
I would have never traded him.
Right.
But, you remember a lot of people, when the Cowboys traded Herschel Walker, there were a lot of people, including people at my TV station in my department, were livid.
Right.
Tom Landry said he would never have traded a talent the caliber of a Herschel Walker. Jimmy Johnson, the head coach at that time, called me and explained to me how he thought this was going to work because he did have a vision. And we saw the result. of it.
So, right.
When you look, Memphis traded Desmond Bain, who I believe is the next Batman, if I'm not mistaken. Desmond Bain, who played at TCU, but I've never heard of him. Nice player.
Yeah.
Nice player.
I'm a casual basketball guy. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. I would argue you'd have a lot of trouble finding 3 people on the street.
Right.
But he's a nice player. I looked up his stats. Nice player. They traded him to Orlando. They got 2 players and 4 first-round draft picks and 4 first-round draft picks in the next 5 years.
4 first. Oh my
4.
goodness!
Now the 2 players, I'm not gonna try to tell you that the 2 players were the caliber of an Anthony Davis, who, did I mention, gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
But 4 first-round draft picks in the next 5 years, whereas the Mavericks are going to have to wait until 2029 to get a Lakers pick on a team built around Luka Doncic. What do you think that pick's going to be worth? You think that's going to be a top 10 pick?
Probably not. Nope.
No, never has been.
Okay.
So, I swear to you, that's my biggest problem. I can't get my head around this trade.
Okay, so you give me your analysts. Why did Nico make it? Going back to the conspiracy theory, why does he not call anybody else? Why does he make the trade to L.A.? Why all that?
Which,
that
almost ties into your
fleshes out
because as I said in the commentary, I would have fired him on the spot.
Of course,
if he worked for me,
looking at a basketball sense, dumb trade. Go ahead.
I am the owner, and you then make this trade, and I've given you the authority apparently to do this. And you tell me the first thing out of your mouth is, no, I didn't need to talk to anybody else. I got Anthony Davis. Really?
Yeah.
And if you're talking defense, hey, here's a novel thought. How about maybe 2 defensive players?
Yeah.
2 defensive players.
Right.
I mean, they got some tall guys on that team that are developing. You can't find somebody better than this. I mean, that's the part that I will absolutely never understand. While I give him the caveat of, yes, you've got an opportunity, and he better, I would argue, if they don't win a championship in the next 2 years, if not this year, next, then I think the thing is an absolute bust, isn't it?
It is. And again, I'll go back to this point, and I'm going to relay it to people that watch Star Wars. I don't know if anybody watched Star Wars. In the movie Star Wars, to blow up the big spaceship, you had to have a shot, literally go in a small little window. And I liken that to Nico's window to win a championship. I mean, if that shot is not perfect.
Earlier in this podcast episode, I was thinking of that exact same. I swear to you.
I think I am the last person in the world who's ever seen Star Wars. I never saw Star Wars.
Oh my God, that's our next podcast.
It's on Netflix, Dale. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
I think, but the simplicity of what you said a minute ago too, and I go to that in my head too. If defense, if that's part of your reasoning for trading Luka, for God's sake, why are you not getting more? So you've got one defensive player. Why is that not your strong point? So again, it goes back to, I look at it this way, what I told y'all earlier. Either way, it's dumb what happened. Either, like, is he so clueless that he doesn't understand the fandom here? And then is he so clueless that he doesn't understand the value of Luka and he just doesn't like him? It just makes no sense.
Here's another comment that a friend of mine told me about. Now I didn't see or hear this, but my buddy did, and I know he's legit. That Nico Harrison said, "Fortune favors the brave." And who else said that? Matt Damon in a Super Bowl ad for cryptocurrency.
Is that right? Is that
which then crashed shortly after, and almost every investor lost all their money. Matt Damon said in a cryptocurrency ad during the Super Bowl, "Fortune favors the brave," and the cryptocurrency crash, and here comes Nico Harrison goes, "Yeah, there's a good thing I want to say."
And Nico's lifted it from the Super Bowl commercial.
Fortune favors the brave. But again, I'm getting so incredibly redundant about this. But Lila, your point is, to me, is the bottom line of the whole deal. I'll give them the window, and I wish they would have provided somebody here to convince me even more about how good the future might be.
Right.
I don't think the future is that good. I do think the immediate short term could be pretty decent. But at the same time, they have to win in the next 2 years. Luka gave them an opportunity to win, as you said earlier, Mark, over the next 15 years.
Right. Let's look at the 96, 95 plus Cowboys, 96, 97, those years. That window was already shut.
Closing, absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely closing. And that's what I feel this Maverick team is. It's back then in 95, 96, it was Super Bowl or bust every year. They'd already won the Super Bowls every year. They came to camp and they're like, we have to win the Super Bowl. And if they didn't, they fell back early in the season. Then everybody just S the bed, if you know what I mean. I feel like that's going to happen with the Mavericks. If this team doesn't get off to a fast start, this team doesn't start winning, it's NBA championship or bust.
And this is, again, another great analogy to this situation. The Cowboys thought they could squeeze out one more Super Bowl.
Right.
Jerry Jones made trades and draft picks in an attempt to roll that dice out there that we're going to win. So he gives away the 2 first-round draft picks for Joey Galloway, ties up all this money, makes some horrific draft picks. Instead of getting the best player, trying to patch an area that he thinks maybe we get this guy. And again, we all know how that worked out. It destroyed the franchise. So when you sit there, if Nico, and this is what, now I'm beginning to understand why the Mavericks didn't want anybody on here with me. But I'm saying, if you want to tell me that I just said the hell with Luka Doncic, I don't care about your next 15 years of greatness, I need to win a championship today.
Right.
Okay, now, again, take Cooper Flagg out. We're not even discussing any possibilities, I would argue. But, okay, Kyrie Irving, if he can come back, Anthony Davis, stay healthy, okay, maybe. But he also couches it in, this is the betterment of the future.
Right.
And there's no future here. Now, my buddy will argue, well, it's going to be real easy to build around Cooper Flagg.
Right.
And
that's
it may well
happenstance and
be.
luck. That's all happenstance.
We also don't know what Cooper Flagg's really going to be.
Right.
Is Cooper Flagg the only guaranteed superstar that didn't become a superstar? Is Cooper Flagg the only guaranteed superstar who didn't get hurt? Right. I mean, yeah, I would fully expect for fans to be watching Cooper Flagg's greatness for 20-plus years. But there's just no guarantee of that. There just isn't. And we had 6.5 years of knowing that Luka Doncic is great.
Who, by the way, had already taken you to the finals.
To the NBA
finals. The NBA finals.
Yeah.
Even to the sports fan that's a very casual sports fan, they knew that.
Well, yeah.
And even to the very casual sports fan,
let's talk.
knowing there's no guarantee. I don't mean to be morbid here, but let's call it what it is. They're one ankle sprain, ankle break or knee injury away from it going to the wayside.
They should call Northwest Insurance Agency and insure Cooper Flagg.
Look at that time.
Because that's everything there.
Look at that. You're hired, Dale. You're hired.
Let's talk about some of the bad stuff from this, the fan fallout.
Oh my God!
Oh, the fans will be back though.
You think?
Do you really think so?
Only because Dale, I feel because they fell into Cooper Flagg.
I do too. Take Cooper Flagg out. Now it might get interesting. But I lost faith. I lost faith in the ability of the fan to deliver a message a long time ago. Certainly because of the Cowboys.
Okay,
look what the Cowboys have been rolling out there for all these years. And
any particular incident or just in general? Just in general?
There's a reason you spell fanatics starting it with FAN.
Okay.
And that's great. It's the one thing that I never had. Believe it or not, I was never, I don't know if it was because I was a sportscaster who tried to maintain a certain separation or whether it was just, I don't know, the way I look at sports in general. I love sports. I love the theater of it. I love the drama of it. But when the game ends, I really never have cared.
I'm going to cut a little BS on that because I've had you on my other podcast before, and you said one time Summerall and Madden were sitting behind you, and it kind of made you a little nervous.
I was nervous that Summerall and Madden were watching me, but
you weren't a fan. Oh, you're talking about you're talking
No,
about
I'm
fans.
talking as a fan of the game itself.
Oh, you okay? I'm sorry. I
no, yeah,
misinterpreted.
no,
Okay.
you're conflating my argument there. But
Okay.
no, yeah, I got nervous with Summerall watching me.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about. I think I always get these. I think with 1983, Nebraska had this great football team.
Oh yeah. Mike Rozier. Aaron Gill, all those guys.
Irving Fryer, all of them.
Yeah.
And they lost in the Orange Bowl. Would have been a national championship. Still should have been a national championship. They lost to Miami.
Yep.
And my son was probably about 10 or something at that time. And we're on the couch watching this game, and he just starts crying and screaming when they had a 2-point conversion to win the game. They could have kicked an extra point. This is before they had overtime. They could have kicked an extra point, tied the game,
Right.
and won the national title. Tom Osborne, and I loved it, Tom Osborne said, no, this team is so great. I want them to be remembered as the greatest ever, and the only way I can do that is if they win.
Right.
So he goes for 2. Turner Gill threw it a little bit behind the kid, and the pass gets batted down. My son just starts crying. He's sobbing. He's so upset. I'm from Nebraska. I love Nebraska football. I did the Tom Osborne show, and I think Tom Osborne is one of the greatest people I've ever known in my life. And I looked at my son, and I said, man, that was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm in Miami when Miami came back to knock off the Mavericks when it looked like the Mavericks were going to win that first NBA championship.
In 06, yeah.
And Bob Ortegal was doing the color with me, and he was so mad about how the Mavericks just kicked away a couple of games in Miami.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there having a beer with him after the game, and I'm like, man, I love watching that game. But I don't care who wins or loses. I just never have. I really,
Right.
I get more excited when, like when Aikman was playing with the Cowboys, because I had a nice relationship with him. Mike Madonna with the Stars. Yeah, I would prefer that the Stars win. But if they didn't, it would drive my buddy Billy Sons ballistic.
Right.
But I don't care, And luckily for the Edelsteins and for the Jerry Joneses of the world, there's 100,000 people that are going to buy a ticket to a Cowboys game, no matter how bad they are and how many times Jerry Jones lies to them about their real prospects. And I think the Mavericks arena will be filled next year. But I absolutely give you the caveat.
Right.
There's a part of me, just because I love the theater and the drama, there's a part of me that would have loved to have seen it without Cooper Flag.
Yeah. I think
Then we might have had the March of the Zombies going.
We're not talking about Nico. Maybe we're not talking about Nico before the season's over.
Yeah,
He's definitely not going to be here.
Cooper Flag saved Nico Harrison's butt.
For sure.
Again.
For sure. And I'm not so sure. I'm going to stand over here and say I'm not so sure all those hurt and mad fans are going to come back. I don't necessarily believe that.
I'll make you the same. Brett Shipp was one of our great reporters at WFAA back in the day. And when Jerry Jones built that new Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, and you we all know the prices and everything.
Yes.
And Brett Shipp, without talking to me, ran a story that 100,000 seat stadium will be less than half full on opening day. And I went running into the newsroom after I see the story air, and I'm yelling at Brett like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you thinking? He goes, have you seen the prices? And, it was $30,000 for the right to buy a $325 ticket and all this nonsense. And I said, Brett, and I'll make you the same bet, Lila.
Okay.
I'll buy you dinner or you buy me dinner at a restaurant of my choice if there's not more than 100,000 people at the Cowboys season opener. I said, there'll be 100,000 people, and they will sell out every game all season long. And he's like, there's no way. I said, good. Then you made a safe bet. Where do you want to go for dinner?
Right.
As we then had dinner at my... And again, Cooper Flag, I think, unfortunately, Cooper Flag's going to kill your side of this bet. Because without Cooper Flag,
I agree.
I might not have made the bet. But I will be shocked, and I will buy you dinner at a restaurant of your choice.
Okay.
If there's
it's in
not
New York,
17,
by the way. It's in New York.
Yeah, well,
okay.
If there's not 17,000 plus screaming like crazy for the Dallas Mavericks, they just will.
With
They just
Cooper
will.
Flag jerseys on.
Yeah, with their Cooper Flag jerseys on.
Well, I came on this today trying to play counterpoint to your point, but there's really not a counterpoint. It's kind of really. I don't see it.
Of all the counterpoints that you floated out there, I'm still sitting there thinking, well, you did kind of make me stop for a moment. The dots kind of connect with that Luka trade for Cooper Flag.
I think I had a better shot with the conspiracy theory. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to get into the reaction we've had since we've had you back kind of a little bit in the marketplace.
I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, okay. We'll be right back with Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen.
Congratulations on buying your new home. You've worked hard to get the house of your dreams, and Northwest Insurance Agency understands that. Now, furnishing that home is expensive, but protecting all of your hard work doesn't have to be. When you go to nwagencies.com, you can find the best rates possible to buy you that peace of mind you deserve. Or give us a call at 855-887-5656 to find your special price.
Northwest Insurance.
Okay, we are back with Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen. Dale, we brought you back to do this once a month with us for our podcast, and you were so gracious to accept the offer. You really must like poker, I guess.
I needed my poker buddy.
That poker buddy must really important. But we've had such a reaction to people, even if it's on a monthly basis. And you've been very clear. This is not, you're not back in the marketplace. You're not trying to overtake anybody's podcast and win the world over. You've done that. You just wanted to come back and give your spiel every once in a while and, get your poker money. But people were so ready to have you back. I wanted to read you a letter we got. It encompasses almost everybody's thoughts, I think. It starts off with Mark and Lila. Thank you so much for sharing your platform with Dale. I don't know much about either of you yet, but I look forward to exploring your other content. Be very careful about that. Dale, wow, where do I even start? I grew up in Allen in a WFAA watching house. You, Gloria Campos, John McKay, Joe Trahan, Pete Delkus, Jason Whitley, Greg Fields, and so many more were the voices that greeted me in the morning, gave me updates in the evening, and occasionally closed out my day at 10 p.m. My graduating class at Allen dedicated an entire page to Pete because of the 2015 snowstorms. You and Pete were always my favorites. The way you bantered with one another, the jokes you tell, Pete's accuracy, your honesty were so comforting yet refreshing. When I moved to Michigan for college, one thing I really missed was WFAA. As ridiculous as it sounds, WFAA had become a trusted and reliable source of information, like an ambient noise whose significance you don't really notice until it's gone. When you started Unplugged, my mom would send me the clips the next day so I could watch them you sent, and then you went and retired. I was not happy. After all, how was I supposed to get my dose of pragmatic Dale? I rewatched Unplugged segments, even introducing my husband to you, a Michigan native. He recognized your voice when I started playing this podcast. Still to this day, I look forward to watching WFAA when I go home to visit my parents. But it wasn't the same without you. Still good, but different. But now, all the way from New Jersey, I have the opportunity to hear your commentary each month. A monthly brush of fresh air with your honest thoughts and being unapologetic authenticity. All of this rambling aside, I am so grateful you took this opportunity to put yourself back out in the world, because the world desperately needs people like you. Thank you for being you. Best, Erica Vanderkolk.
Wow, that's very nice. I appreciate it, Erica, hearing this. As I said in that first episode we did last month, is that I've been quiet long enough, and I need to speak out. I think we all do, but I also think I hear that a lot about the commentaries, and it's incredibly gratifying to this old guy. It really is. I was at a poker game about 7-8 months ago. And a guy walks up to the table and he says, "Excuse me, but are you Dale Hansen?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I thought so. I recognize your voice." I said, "Well, where are you from?" And he said, "Cincinnati." And I said, "Well, how long have you been in Dallas?" He goes, "About 4 hours. I just flew in. I want to come play poker tonight before I go to this meeting."
Yeah.
But he recognized my voice from hearing the clips on whatever. Because as you guys know, I don't know how that stuff gets out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where you go to find it. I wouldn't know how to find it, but I'm glad somebody does. And I do hope to continue speaking out. That's when you guys contacted me about the possibility of doing this. It means the world to me because I really do want to speak out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be bashing conservatives or Republicans every month. We are going to have some fun along the way. Although next month I am bashing the fight against DEI.
Next month's going to be a really good one.
Next month is probably my absolute favorite topic, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The attack on it to me is reprehensible, but we'll discuss all sides of it next month. But this is the point I want to leave you with. As everybody knows, my wife laughs at me for this, but I'm a big fan of quotes because I'm just absolutely blown away by how so many people over our lifetimes can capsulize a great thought into just a few words that stick with me.
Right.
And I saw this just yesterday, and that's why I want to keep speaking out, and I want to keep talking about all these issues, the fun ones and the serious ones. Is the greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. Stephen Hawking.
Man.
And I think he's absolutely right. And I think, quite honestly, it's Nico Harrison kind of sums this up for me.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not as upset about the fact that I do think he made an ignorant choice. I am upset about the fact that he has the illusion of basketball knowledge.
So true.
And I don't think that means great things for the Mavericks going forward. I really don't.
I don't think. Well,
I enjoyed it.
Dale,
I enjoyed it
it's
very much.
always been a privilege and a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to doing next month. And we will be back with Dale Hansen next month on Dallas Dialogue with Dale Hansen. Thank you.
Running a business is unpredictable, but with the right insurance, you can face the unexpected with confidence. At Northwest Insurance Agency, we protect what matters most: your people, your property, and your future. Whether it's liability, property, or workers' comp, we tailor coverage to fit your business needs. Because when you're covered, you can focus on what really matters: growing your business. Call us today for a free quote at 1-855-887-5656 or visit us at nwagencies.com.